What up, people? What's going on? Welcome to another podcast with me. Thank you so much for joining me on this fine, beautiful Thursday. I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know how you guys spend your days on Thursday. But guess what? I don't care. I don't care if you go skydiving. I don't care if you go trip some people in front of the mall. I don't care if you go rob a few banks. I don't care if you do some crazy shit in your free time, but I do care if you guys sit here and you guys are willing to sit through one of my podcasts, because it's brutal, man. It's brutal. I finally went ahead and listened to one of my podcasts. And when I say listen, I mean I listened to like 8 minutes of it. I didn't listen to much of it, too much of it, because I can't do that, man. It's really crazy. I don't know how somebody can be a creator in any sense, in any way possible. Like I'm talking podcasting, but if you're somebody who does YouTube vlogs, or if you're somebody who does Snapchat curations, or if you're an Instagram person, or whatever you are, if you're a creator in any type of way, it seems crazy to me that you can watch your art or watch your creation. It sounds very egotistical to call this art. I don't know if podcasting is an art form. I can tell you that it is a grit form. It requires a lot of discipline to continue doing it. But I've never listened to it before, and dude, the sound quality is pretty good. I haven't listened. I've used to listen to my old ones all the time. Sound quality was shit, so I apologize for back then. But guess what? We live and learn, right? You gotta move along, move with the punches, roll with the punches, like Mike Tyson would say. Dude, that motherfucker is about to fight again. I don't know if you guys heard him on the Rogan podcast, but that dude is dialed the fuck in. He's 54 years old. He looks like a damn tiger again. He's acting like a bear. He's just a tank of a man. 54 years old, and he can still kill anybody with his. I mean, if he punches you hard enough and you give him like 10 punches, he will kill. If you give him 5 punches, I guarantee if you take any dude, not any dude, but if you take most dudes, he could literally kill you with his fist. This man, Mike Tyson, is about to come back, and he's going to fight again. And it's terrifying, because this dude is he's a walking killing machine, and he's designed to kill. I don't know. It's fascinating. I listened to the Rogan podcast with Mike Tyson. He was saying some crazy shit, like how he like gets off sexually fighting, beating people up, which is such a far out of the realm world that I can't even like start to come in. I can't even start to recognize. But best of luck to him. I forget who he's fighting. But it's gonna be not St. Pierre. It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna watch it. There's a lot of things going on. I've been watching the NBA a lot lately. I've never been somebody to watch the NBA. It's never been on my radar. I think the reason why it's never been on radar is I've never got around to it. Like, to me, the NBA is so clustered with just a few really good teams, and then the rest of them are okay teams. So since that was what I was perceiving it as, I never watched it, because I didn't want to. It was kind of like watching football. Like, yeah, the Patriots are going to make it to the Super Bowl, and who are they going to face? I kind of felt the same way with like LeBron James. Well, where's LeBron James? That team's going to go to the NBA championship, and then Steph Curry, that team's going to go to the NBA championship. But this year, with the shortened season and the dome and the bubble and all that good stuff, it seems like it's completely changed. Like, there's teams in there. Like, I'm so far from the reality of basketball. I don't know much about it at all. But like, I'm watching like the Timberwolves, they're in it. Miami Heat's in it. LA Clippers in it. All these teams that I didn't even know were like good anymore, they're in there. They have a chance to go all the way. It's exciting again. Sports are exciting again. Hockey's going on. You have the basketball going on. You have football, or you have baseball going on. You have the super fast cars are happening. The golf is going on. And then the NFL starts this Thursday. It's been like, it's really, with the lockdown with coronavirus, all the sports seasons are happening literally right now. Like every single major sports team is having a season right now in September. Football, about to start the season. Basketball, in the middle of the playoffs. MLB, though I think they're more than halfway with their season. NHL, they're in the playoffs. Soccer, I don't know. The Grass Fairies are doing something. UFC, obviously year-round. What am I missing? Oh, the race car people, that's happening. I think I said NHL already, but it's a really cool time to be alive for sports, and I think the sports are helping a lot of people get through all this, whatever, chaos or simulation or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, the NFL is starting this Thursday. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm kind of getting this weird feeling with the NFL. Like everything's been very quiet. Nobody's really talking. And I know a lot of it has to do with the lack of preseason. The preseason is basically 4 weeks, 5 weeks of just ESPN, NFL Network hyping up their teams and, crucifying some of the players and basically building up the season. And that doesn't exist this year. There's less media attention with all the players. And I don't know. It's kind of crazy that Thursday is going to be, I think it's like the Chiefs against the Saints or something. I don't know. It's a high-profile game, like a potential playoff game. I don't know if it's quiet because they're not too confident that the season is going to continue or that the season is going to make it all the way through, or if that the coronavirus tests that they're doing are not as... Like if anything gets figured out about the coronavirus testing, they could be in trouble. So I don't know if they're kind of trying to keep everything under wraps like that. I'm not too sure, but I just feel like the NFL season, nobody's talking about it, which, isn't a big deal. But it is fascinating because NFL is so closely related, intertwined with like America, I mean, it's literally 16 weeks of the year where people, every single Sunday, they have their friends over and Domino's goes crazy and people watch football. I don't know. This right here is 52 ounces of fruit punch, but it's diet fruit punch. It's got 0 sugar. It's by Minute Maid. I know people freak out when they see like artificial sweeteners and they say aspartame on it. And I get it. I understand like aspartame isn't the best thing for you, but the same fucks who say that are the same fucks who also carrying extra 100 pounds on their waistline. So whatever. Yeah. Happy Thursday. It's, there's a few things I want to get into, but one thing I just want to say this real quick. Birthdays first started as a form of protection. It is assumed that the Greeks adopted the Egyptian tradition of celebrating the birth of a god. They, like many other pagan cultures, thought that days of major change, such as these birthdays, welcome evil spirits. So, if you're having a birthday and you're an ancient birthday person, if you're somebody who if your birthday's coming up, if you already have your birthday, just know that your ancestors or the Athens or the Greeks, whatever, same people, I think, obviously same people. They would have been scared shitless on your birthday because you're welcoming in the gods. You're birthing the evil spirits again. So next time you go out with your friends and you're having a drink and you're reposting all your stories on Instagram and you're saying thank you, blah, 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 all this good stuff for your celebration of your day of birth, just know that hundreds or 10,000 years ago, you would have been the asshole of the village, and you would have been the asshole of the village because you're birthing in the evil spirits, and nobody wants an evil spirit, especially back in those days, because evil spirits would take over the world. They'll eat your crops, they'll kill the old people, they'll rape the women, they'll kill the men, and they'll go to war. So your birthday's selfish, bro. Don't get it twisted, man. Your birthday's a selfish day. It's not special. You're just bringing in the evil spirits. Don't be a birthday snob. Don't bring attention to yourself. You're nothing special. You're a piece of shit. Also, one thing I've always had resentment. Not resentment. That makes me seem like a child, like a stupid child. But the one thing that I've always pushed back on is the idea of celebrating your day of birth. If you have a birthday, you're turning 10 years old. I get it from like between 3 years old to, I don't know, 21, I guess, so you can celebrate with poison and begin your life of a lifelong alcoholic. I get it in that sense, like celebrate it, have fun, cool, I get it. It's a good thing. Also, I think you should celebrate your birthday. I'm just bringing in another perspective. I'm taking the other corner of my brain, and I'm not holding up I'm letting the dam flow. I'm letting the water flow from the dam. I'm breaking the goddamn dam. You had nothing to do with it. You had nothing to do with it. Your birthday has nothing to do with you. It's a day. If I'm turning 20 years ago in 9 months, our parents, your parents, they produced you. You had no say in it. The only thing you did was you're a super fast sperm. You outsmarted the other sperms. You got lucky, maybe. I don't know. Biologically speaking, you got lucky. You're stronger, maybe. And you just popped up out of there 9 months later. It should be a day of reckoning for your parents, especially for my parents. I was almost 11-pound baby. I was like 10 pounds and 8 ounces. I was a fucking bowling ball falling out of the world. I came out literally with a 2-for-5 Whopper, one inside my hand, and I had another Whopper on the outside. I came out with like mustard on my face. I had like sesame seeds from my bun on the ground and shit. I came out as a complete disaster. And I haven't stopped since then. I've just been a bowling ball picking up speed. I'm like an exponentially growing, reckless snowball, just crushing this planet every single place I go. A 2-for-5 Whopper. That's what I was when I came out. There's nothing else. Nothing special. I'm just kidding. If you celebrate your birthdays, do what you do, but just remember, your day of birth is a day of birth for evil spirits. And in a different time, you would have been hung, you would have been stoned, or you would have been killed. All those are leading to death. So, yeah. Did you? Sorry. This is one thing I really want to get into, but I kind of want to save it for the end. This is going to be a shorter podcast. This is not going to be a longer podcast. I don't know what I did this week. I don't know why, but I waited all the way till Wednesday. I'm recording this on Wednesday, but I waited like the last day up until Thursday to upload it. It's weird, like, to record. I like that. I like recording the day before, and the reason why I like it is because I'm more up to date with the news, things that are happening. I can talk about the very next day, and when you're talking about modern events, it has a chance to hit the algorithm better and get more views on your podcast. But the only issue with that is, since I produce all my videos, I edit up all my videos, I upload all my videos, I market all my videos, I do everything for the podcast. The only issue with that approach is that if I have anything going on that day, it's really hard for me to, because it takes about, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes to edit up a video. It takes about an hour to render the video. So after you edit it, you have to render it into a file. And then it takes about an hour to upload the video. Then you got to market it. You got to choose the right tags and all that good stuff. So it takes about 2 to 3.5 hours to upload a video. So if I record on Wednesday at like 9:30, like I did today, then I have between 9:30 and before I go to bed to edit the video, upload the video, and get it ready for Thursday. But if I do a podcast, like let's say I do one on Friday for the following Tuesday, and I do one on Monday for that Thursday, and I do that, it gives me time to edit the videos, less stress. But the issue with that also is that then I'm not up to date with modern events, which doesn't help the podcast as much. And that's why with my podcast, I stay away from modern news stories. It's not something I really get into too much, just because I don't want to outdate my podcast. And that's something that I when I started the podcast, I really didn't know what to talk about, what to do. But one thing I didn't know is that you shouldn't outdate your podcast. So what you shouldn't do is talk about time on your podcast, which I do find myself doing a lot, but I try to minimize it as much as I possibly can. But that's the scheduling conflict I have with doing the podcast. I just want to take a quick minute here to do a self ad for myself. If you guys are still listening, go ahead and like this video on YouTube, subscribe, tell a friend about it, put something in the comments. If you're listening to this on audio platform, please leave a review, follow or subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. You guys are beautiful people, constantly showing me love, constantly saying things to me. When I'm out in public, that's like the craziest thing. When I'm working or if I'm anywhere, people come up to me and tell me they listen to the podcast, they like the podcast, you're doing a good job. Even people who reach out to me on like social media, all that is recognized, and all that is the reason why I do the podcast. Also, the main reason why I do the podcast is it's therapy. You know, it allows me to process a lot of my thoughts and allows me to self-critique myself. It's really cool. A lot of people, I think, they speak on what they have confirmed with their own biases, their own self-biases. So if you speak anything political, you speak anything environmental or finances, you're so good at knowing what you only know, right? And the reason why you're so good at knowing what you only know is because you never give yourself time to try to prove to yourself that what you know is not actually what you could know, you know? And that's why I like the podcast, because I will say things sometimes that I'm like, well, that's not right. Like what you said doesn't make sense. That's not a full perspective on it. You could probably shape this up better. So what I do is I say something. Sometimes it takes me 10 to 15 minutes to gather my thoughts finally, because I'm debating with both sides of myself. I'm debating with the original thought I had, and then I'm debating with the emerging thought that is also somewhere in my brain, and I'm trying to find a happy middle ground for both of those thoughts to kind of merge into one beautiful little viewpoint on a specific subject or topic. And I find that to be a beautiful thing about the podcast. I also find that to be a beautiful thing about people who listen to the podcast, because all day whatever you're doing, it's so easy to just kind of put yourself in a bubble, surround yourself with people who are also in the same bubble you are, kind of merge your bubbles together. Your bubble gets bigger, and as your bubble gets bigger, you push people away from your life. You start forgetting how to challenge yourself. You refuse to challenge yourself when it comes to any type of thought process. You build up this algorithm that doesn't allow for any other type of possibilities to be entered into your bubble, you know? And I think with the podcast is when I say things that are kind of off the cuff, it's like I'm shooting like a blow dart into your bubble, and I'm popping your bubble real quick. And if you can get enough people, again, you can build your bubble. But if you listen to what I have to say, maybe the bubble can include other people around you, other thought processes around you. And I truly think, and I say I'm like a broken record, but I really do believe that allowing other people to be in your bubble and to recognize people as human beings and not as their thoughts or not as their stances or the stance they take on some subjects and their opinions politically or financially or any type of stance they take, sexual orientation or whatever it is that makes them, doesn't define, but they're human. Everything else is kind of second nature to them. If you can look at them as just a human, and you can look at them as a grown-up baby and somebody who was once born in this world without any viewpoints on anything, learned how to eat, learned how to walk, learn how to cry, learn how to get what they want. And then they started finally, it's like when you release a flower into the river. You don't know where the flower is going to end up, but it just goes down the stream, and whatever environmental impacts it has, or whether it is, shaped a certain way, it goes down this river path. And that's what I want this podcast to be. I want you to be able to formulate that viewpoint on people. Because if you can form that viewpoint on people, you can't get angry with people. And it's really it's something I struggle with all the time, because I see it so much taking the opposite side. I mean, throughout the day, I see people who are crucifying other people, who are blocking out other humans, and especially when they start speaking, because the way that they look, or what they say, or what they do, or the way they walk, or anything like that, it's completely ignoring them, right? But if you look at people as just a canvas that they didn't even paint themselves, somebody started painting it for them, and then since the way that they were painting, whoever it was, their parents or society or life, the techniques that they were taking, then that person started painting their own canvas. But they would have never started painting their own canvas. You can make a debate genetically that they're predispositioned to paint certain things on their canvas, but also the environment plays a huge fucking impact on the way that they paint their own canvases. If you could look at people that way, it becomes a very beautiful, beautiful cycle. It becomes a beautiful cycle when you can look at people without assuming that they are a certain way because of what people say that they should be. When you can look at somebody who is wearing a red hat and assume and instead of assuming that they're racist because the red hat represents Donald Trump, therefore they're a piece of shit, well, you can look at them as just a people, and maybe the red hat means nothing. There's a lot of fear, right? There's a lot of fear. What happens when fear goes crazy is people build these, instead of these very plastic, not plastic, but these like walls that can like move in and out and can constantly change. They build these, no pun intended, these huge fucking strong walls. These walls that nobody can get into. And then if you have a population like that is all building these cement walls that nobody can walk into, yes, you're gonna have a constant conflict all the time, right? And that's why there's a really dark thought I have all the time, that the quickest way for this country to find peace, I really do believe, if we want peace, and that's a completely different topic. I don't know if peace can actually exist, and if it did exist, I don't think people would want it. And let's say it did exist and people wanted it, I think it would fall apart. I just think it would fall apart. People do not do well in peace. Just like people who are very comfortable in their life, they tend not to keep trying things, right? And I think for me, the lack of comfort allows me to grow as a person. That's why I'm up at 4:30 and I'm working out and I'm running, 5+ miles a day, and I'm done by 7:30 in the morning, because if I wanted peace and I wanted comfort, I would never do that. But that pain allows me to embrace things with more open arms. What was I talking about? I don't know what I was talking about. But dude, the black holes, man. Did you see that the two black holes in space, they were two separate, one of my friends at work were telling me this. There were two separate black holes, and these black holes as individuals, people didn't think could get to the size that they got. So already they're single black holes, and nobody thought that they could, like, black holes existed the size that these things existed. And then these black holes ran into each other, and instead of eating each other, since they were so big, I guess they I don't know. I'm not a cosmetologist. I'm not a astrophysicist. I'm dumb. I'm not that smart. They formed into one huge black hole. And now we have a blown out star. Two of them made one big, huge blown out star. And now in space, while we're over here freaking out about dumb shit in November 4th, you have these just burn out stars that are eating space. The same way that I will pick up a Chipotle burrito and take a bite out of it, this huge, I don't even know what it is this black hole times 2 made into 1. It's eating planets, eating stars. It's like, it's mind-boggling. Like, that perspective, once you can actually recognize like things like that, it makes everything just feel so dumb. That's why I think when people do debate about hot topics afterwards, they're like, oh, that was exhausting. That was dumb. I made no progress, because it is all dumb. It's stupid as shit. We argue about the dumbest shit, but dude, black holes are eating solar systems. They're fucking eating solar systems. The same way that it takes me time to eat a Cheeto, space is eating each other. Fuck, dude. Oh my God. If science is you can make a debate that science is a religion, but I think the Christians and the Islamic faith and Christianity and the Judaism and all these faiths, I think they're pretty preposterous, like what they believe in, and I don't believe in them. But what we do know about space and the creation of the solar system, the creation of the world, I think it's much harder to subscribe to that than it is to any of the other religions. Like the probability, if you know anything about probability, this right here that we live in should not exist. It should not exist. The only way it does exist is if what we're dealing with is so large, as in the possibilities are so What if we are 1 in 10 trillion? That means the 10 trillion is it's just so big. It's so big we can never wrap our stupid brains around it. I can never wrap my stupid brain around it. I can't wrap my brain around a lot of things. But here we go. This is what I want to talk about. I want to finish this podcast off with it. This is not clickbait. I promise you guys. I use these titles for marketing purposes only, because I have to get the podcast out there. And the best way to get the podcast out there is to use titles such as Donald Trump uses Joe Rogan. So I think I was on like Wednesday. It was Wednesday. No, today's Wednesday. It was Tuesday. I was at work and I looked on Twitter and I saw that Joe Rogan was trending. I was like, what the fuck is he trending? Because he's always trending. Like every time he talks about transgenders, he's always trending. Every time he he has Ben Shapiro on his podcast, he's trending. Every time he has Alex Jones on his podcast, he's trending. He's always trending about something. He's trending with a podcast that he did 10 years ago, and he says something that was misogynistic or whatever the fuck it is. Well, it doesn't matter. And sometimes you see Donald Trump and Joe Rogan trending. And sometimes you see Joe Rogan and another presidential candidate, Bernie Sanders, trending, or Andrew Yang, or Tulsi Gabbard. These people are highly influential politicians. And now we all know Donald Trump is the only politician that really matters right now, him and Joe Biden, at least for November 4th. If you're looking at it from a nationalistic level, which I guess you could also look at your local community and go about that way. But it was so fascinating because Donald Trump, what's his face? Bernie Sanders. Did I say Bernie? I think I meant Bernie. If I don't know if I didn't say, I'm sorry, Bernie. But Bernie Sanders his team used a clip of Rogan talking to, I think her name was Betsy something, and they were talking, and she said, who are you going to vote for? He said, I think I'm most likely right now going to vote for Bernie Sanders. They took that clip, and he used it on his Twitter feed, and that went viral, and people started hating Rogan because he is now a socialist, and now he doesn't like the American culture, because if you like Bernie Sanders, you can't like America, which is absurd, but a lot of people actually believe in that, and so they used Rogan as a figurehead for support of Bernie Sanders, and then so you have, and this is what I'm trying to get. This is the power of people who speak their minds, such as Rogan. And obviously, people always yes, I listen to him a lot. So if people ever it doesn't happen too much for people to say, oh, you like your podcast is just like Rogan. Yes, it is. It's very much like Rogan. I think individuals are a collection of other individuals. with different perspectives on opinions that they have taken from other people. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that at all, especially if you agree with what they say. So Bernie Sanders used Rogan to endorse his presidential candidacy. And I would say when Bernie Sanders went on to the Rogan podcast, his clout went up higher. So his fame went up higher than it was the entire his entire time in the presidential candidacy. Same thing with Andrew Yang. Same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. When they went on to his podcast, it helped them out the most. Even like 2018 when Gary Johnson went on for, or 2016 for going up against Donald Trump. It just shows the power of it. But you have Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, who are, I think, they're on the different spectrums of political viewpoints. And Rogan is kind of in the middle. Bernie Sanders used Rogan to help his candidacy. And then the Trump campaign, his group of people, which I don't know if he has a group of people. It could easily just be himself. Like the way he tweets, it's very irrational. It's very Trumpish, you know. It's very much like I took too many Adderalls, you know, and so he could have. It's hilarious to think that he would have took a clip from a podcast because a fan sent it to him, or his son showed it to him, because his son has used Joe Rogan clips before to support his dad. Donald Trump Jr. has used Rogan podcast clips to help his dad, Donald Trump. But Donald Trump used a clip from a Rogan podcast when he was talking to Matt Taibbi, who's a journalist, basically saying Biden and he posted on his story, Biden is a flashlight, that the battery is dying, but you keep on trying to turn it on to get the most out of it as you possibly can, but it's dying eventually and it's not going to survive, which is a hilarious analogy. And it's so true because Biden is literally dying in front of us. He needs the same stuff that fucking Donald Trump takes. That's what he needs. He needs that medicine, whatever it is, cocaine, Adderall, who the hell knows, but he needs it. But I find that very fascinating that somebody who is he's in the middle, right? He's an independent. I don't know if he claims that he's more liberal in a lot of things, but he's also conservative in a lot of things. And I think I find myself in that same category. Like, I'm very liberal in the sense that I want peace for people. I want people if I can help people, I will totally help people as long as they're using it the right way. I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast very shortly because Taylor just got home. But Rogan is being used by the left and the right to support the left and right's own leaders, which I find so fascinating. It just shows that that's actually where we are. You're in the middle ground. You can be left and right, both extremes, and actually find peace in the middle ground because they're unknowingly using somebody who's an independent to support their liberal, the conservative viewpoints. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this podcast episode. If you made it this far, just go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, leave it a review on the podcast. Remember, on your birthday, you are bringing evil into the world. Turn to your mom, say thank you. Turn to your dad and say, thanks, Pops. You did a good job. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. I don't have anything else to say. I'll catch you guys in episode 122 of the Michael Labs show and/or podcast. Peace out. See ya. Thank you.